Welcome to PEAC, Train Like a Girl, a podcast by girls in sport, for girls and coaches in sport. We're here to amplify your voice. It deserves to be heard. At PEAC, we are a safe place for girls to hang out, learn, grow, and build community. We empower girls in sport and coaches with knowledge, resources, and support we think is necessary in today's athletic environments to thrive. Join us for bold conversations about the experience of girls in sport. Our discussions will make you laugh, cry, cheer, get frustrated, and hopefully rethink the future of girls in sport for generations to come. So whether you're walking, commuting, or cleaning your bedroom, take us with you. Follow us. It helps more than you can imagine. Check out our website and make sure you share with a female athlete or coach you love. Now, I'm really excited to introduce you to our first group podcast ever. Da-na-na-na. This is super exciting, and it happens to be with the interns that are the power behind PEAC. So SJ is in charge of our website, which is so beautiful and so functional, and our newsletter. She's been with PEAC for about 6 years. Emmy helps with our social media. She's been with PEAC about 3 years. And our three new interns, sorry about that, Caitlin, but I know we've already introduced you, but our 3 new interns are Caitlin, Roohee, and Liz. Caitlin, as you know, is the host of this podcast, and Roohee and Liz have been instrumental and helping rethink and navigate some of what we're doing, various social media platforms such as LinkedIn and Strava, and even on what we're doing on Instagram and Facebook. I am so excited for you to listen to them, to hear a little bit about their stories and their connection to girls in sports. So are you all ready to get warmed up?
I'm so excited to be here.
Yay! All right, Liz, cat or dog?
Oh, a dog for sure.
Roohee, beach or mountains? I think I know the answer.
Beach, definitely.
Yeah, I think I knew that. Liz, winter or summer?
Summer.
Roohee, podcast or Netflix?
Netflix.
Nice. All right, Liz, Taylor Swift or the Beatles?
The Beatles.
Oh, I didn't think I knew that. We may have to have a conversation about that. Super cool.
I love oldies.
I love that. That's super cool. Although you're kind of an old soul little, I think. So maybe it fits.
I get that a lot, actually.
Yeah, I can see that. All right, Roohee, blow dry or air dry your hair?
Air dry.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's awesome. See, these are the hard-hitting questions that we ask. Now that we've gone through all the hard stuff, what I would really love for you to do, and Roohee, let's go ahead and start with you. Talk to us about your relationship to being a girl in sport.
Well, when I grew up, I kind of did unorthodox sports. So I did martial arts for, I think, 6 years. I have a first degree black belt in mixed martial arts.
Oh my gosh. Wait a minute. We have to pause. I had no idea. That is so cool. You're going to have to show us some moves.
I'll think about it.
All right, continue on now that I've interrupted.
I also did horseback riding, but I was really bad at it. I did it for a while, but I wasn't good at it. So I kind of did sports that weren't as kind of team, the normal sports that you think about. And I did those. The first time that I felt like I really took part in serious sports was in high school. I did badminton my freshman year in the spring, and I loved it so much. I love my team. I love the team aspect. I like to win. I like to just be a part of that group effort. So I joined cross country in the fall of my sophomore year. And being a girl in sport, I would say cross country definitely cemented it, but I would say it was kind of difficult for me to wrap my head around because when I was younger, I was definitely more academically inclined, and I definitely was also not good at sports, so I kind of pushed myself more into an academic image and pushed down athletics at in my life. So it was kind of difficult to wrap my head around being in sport, but because of the amazing coaches in my life, I've kind of realized that I can be whoever I want to be and sports will fit around that in my life. So I've loved the person that I can become and the different things I can do with sport. And I think being more educated on like being a girl before being in sport kind of transformed what I could take out of it. Like I thought more about inequities in sports and my body compared to a man's body. And it really just kind of opened my eyes to this other realm of issues that women face.
There's a ton to unpack there. And Liz, we are gonna circle to you, but I don't want to lose sight of a couple things. So I do want to pause here for just a minute. It's so interesting that you talk about doing more unconventional sport, which I actually love. We talked about that the other day, how many opportunities that are out there far beyond what is offered in high schools. It's awesome that high schools offer sport, but there is so much more out there.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing that I want to talk to you about, because you really do talk about the inequities in sport, and you were instrumental in some of the big changes we made at the high school we are at, but also not just even the body comparison, but understanding that girls and boys can't train the same. Something that really like stopped me, and this is one of the reasons we're here, which is why I want to like pause and really pay attention to this, is that you felt that sports weren't for you. And to go through 4 years of high school focused on a rigorous academic career and not have an outlet where you can build community and release energy and have those endorphins that come from being a highly competitive, wanting to win badminton player. And I've seen Roohee on the badminton court. She is a rock star. She's amazing. But that's where we do girls injustice. And that's where we lose a ton of girls. When we look at the number of girls that drop out of sport in high school because of all those things that you talk about, those are the things we're trying to combat, because we know that the longer we keep a girl in sport, the more likely they are to be connected to sport for a lifetime. So like, can you talk to me? I didn't really ask a question there, but are you as passionate about helping girls understand that there's a place for them in sport, no matter what they think about their athletic ability?
I definitely am. And I think you didn't need to ask a question because I have so much to say about that topic. I think like the biggest point for me is going into like school. It was kind of like, I don't know if anyone else like relates to this, but when you're a kid, like definitely in the way that I was, it just like school is kind of like what you do and it just takes up a lot of your time. Like you think about academics and that's kind of what's important to you. So for me, it was always academics first and then whatever followed or I could fit in. And I think definitely from hearing you talk about this conversation, for you, it's how can we keep girls in sport? How can we do this? And that's definitely important. For you, it's a sports first mindset. And for me, it's an academics first mindset. And I think either approach is totally applicable and accurate. And for the people and for the girls growing up who are an academics first mindset, I will totally 100% say, as someone first, when I was in middle school, I was definitely a better student, but it also was just nice to feel competent outside of something that could be really competitive and toxic at times. It like academics can be like a stressful point of friendships and of definitely sibling dynamics. I can relate to that. So
Yeah.
being successful in other ways outside of academics is, I would say, something that's really beneficial for like having self-esteem in yourself. Because when I went to high school and I was definitely a worse student, my self-esteem decreased because I didn't have that one thing that I was good at anymore, because there were so many other kids that like were better at me technically. Their grades were higher, they spoke better in class. And for me to go to athletics and feel better in something, because it wasn't more about like, it wasn't about race time. It was how I felt at the end of the race. And nobody could compare to me how I felt at the end of the race. Sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad, but it was my personal feeling that I could take pride in myself. So I think that was super, super important, and understanding that athletics, like, it wasn't academics versus athletics. It was just my life and how it fit into it and how everything worked out for me. And sometimes I had a bad day at the academics part of school. And then I went to cross country practice after and I had a really good run and I felt overall better about my day. Some days, like, I couldn't even do it because I had to go home and study. And that's perfectly acceptable. But it just comes down to thinking like, okay, this is like life. Like you're getting to like your adult life. And I know that was like a really long point to make, but I felt like that was my experience.
No, and I like that you said that, what you prioritize, because the definition of the word priority is that you can have only one thing. So I like that sometimes people are like, I have priorities. I'm like, no, that's not the definition of the word. But sorry. But I like that you said that your priority was academics, but you still focused on athletics, and somebody else's priority can be athletics, but they can focus on academics. But I want to, and I'm going to get to Liz after this, but I do want to like kind of sum up what you're saying, Roohee, because there's a huge correlation between sports and C-suite success. So research shows that 94% of women in C-suite positions, so leadership positions in business, have played sports, 52% of them at the university level. So there is a huge correlation between girls in sport and all the qualities that come with leadership and being able to perform outside of school. So in the business world. So there is a benefit of doing both. And I do think that people also look for that. They look for a more well-rounded human that they want to be able to work with. I mean, and I don't want to get into college applications, but if that wasn't important, college applications wouldn't ask for extracurriculars because they wouldn't care, but they do care because they know that those are the kids that are going to perform better on their campuses. And that's the same reason why businesses look for kids who are involved in things outside of academics in college because they know they're going to perform better in their settings. So no, I think that was really eloquent. And I love that you talked about it doesn't have to be your priority, but it can still be something that you commit to. So Liz, fill us in. Tell us a little bit about your story and your journey with sport.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say my journey towards athletics and like sports in general was also kind of untraditional. Growing up, like I was really, really unathletic. Like I was a kid that would like struggle during like state fitness testing. Like I just kind of like avoided like, I don't know, like participating in PE class. Like it was just like hard for me. And honestly, I think more than anything, it was just that I was so intimidated and because like I just didn't really have any confidence in my abilities, it was just something that was like really hard for me to tackle. And then right around COVID time when I had a lot of free time on my hands, I just kind of started like going on walks or like which kind of turned into like jogging and running. And then by the time COVID ended, it was freshman year of high school and I had the option to join the girls cross country team, which I did. And I found that I really loved it actually because I had coaches who were willing to work with me. I had peers that were supportive and just overall an environment that felt like safe for me to like grow as an individual and like actually try building skills. So yeah, that was kind of like my journey into running. And now that I've graduated high school, I still run like as consistently as I can. Like I still try to like enter in races because it's something that has brought so much like joy to my life. And I really hope that it's something that can continue to inspire in other people. And I know that if I ever have the opportunity to like, encourage younger girls to join a sport, I would absolutely 100% tell them to do it because it's something that changed my life like dramatically.
Yeah. And I'm going to ask a question here. And the interesting thing on this podcast, nothing is pre-scripted. So if Liz doesn't want this question asked and answered, we'll edit it out. But it's interesting because I happen to have been both of their cross country coaches or one of their cross country coaches. And I will tell you, I think because we have such a large team, I think people think we don't, or I don't maybe know everybody or connect to everybody, but I really like fall in love with the athletes that are on our team. And I will tell you that one of like what was heartbreaking for me when you made the decision to not run cross country your senior year because I knew that I would miss you as a human and the team. But here's what I want to say about that is that one of the things, and we talked about this before the podcast, one of the things I want to do with cross country is help girls understand that this is a skill and a love that they can take with them for the rest of their life. So it didn't matter that you didn't run cross country your senior year. You knew that it was something that you had that you could take with you when you went off to the University of Illinois, that you could, it's still something that you knew how to do and that brought you pleasure and relief and all that other stuff, and joy and stress relief and everything. The other thing is that you and I remained in connection with each other. It's not like I had like, oh, I can't believe she didn't come out, or you know, it was nothing.
Yeah.
There was no animosity there. So I don't know. Did you have any thoughts about that senior year? I just am curious what you thought.
Yeah, I think it was kind of, I don't know, looking back, I would say it's like maybe like one of my regrets from high school, like not doing it senior year. It was really just because I made the decision not to because of work. And I feel like, I don't know, like maybe it's just something that, I don't know. Yeah, like looking back, if I could do it all over again, I think I probably would have tried to make myself come out for senior year. But I mean, I'm still glad that even though I didn't come, like I was still able to like, you know, like maintain my
Yeah.
relationships with girls on the team and like still be able to talk to you. And like obviously
Yeah.
now like I'm a whole year like removed from high school. Like I just finished my freshman year of college and yeah, like I like, you know, like we're working on like even things that are beyond like high school athletics now. So like I feel like
100%.
in a way like things do work out, you know what I mean? So
Agreed.
I don't know if that
Yeah.
really answers the question, but I
It
mean,
did.
yeah,
No, I agree. And that's kind of what I'm saying is that if you just give it a shot, like if you're like, oh, I'm not really that athletic, which is one of the reasons those standardized tests drive me crazy because they're not built for girls to do, first of all. But yeah, it drives me crazy because then girls think that they're not fit or they're not athletic or they're not strong, and which 100% is not true because you were also a high performer on the team. But no, that's what I guess I'm saying is if you just come out and give it a shot, you're going to find something, particularly with a sport like cross country. You're going to find something, whether it's the community or whether it's the strength training sessions or the running sessions or connection with another person. It doesn't matter what it is. You're going to find something that you're going to take with you and remember. So no, I think that was kind of the point is that you gave it a shot and and you were able to decipher, okay, what is my priority? And your priority, you made the decision that senior year and I respected you for that. But I think that's because you and I had an open and honest conversation. I think that's something I really want to tell both coaches and girls is that you have to keep communication open and you can't personalize things. I guess that's more what I was talking about is if I would have personalized it like, oh, Liz quit on me, it would have made things, but that's not what it was. It wasn't about me. It was about you and to, meet people where they're at and understand what's going on in their lives and keep the door open because as you said, now we get this incredible opportunity to work on this next adventure together and all of the energy and talent that you are bringing to this just continues. Every time I get a text message from you, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. And that's because you and I were able to look at the bigger picture and not personalize things. So
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Caitlin, before I kind of continue taking over, do you have anything you want to ask before I move into some other questioning?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually have a question for both Liz and Roohee, but different questions. So, Liz, because you were just talking, I wanted to ask about how it was being on cross country with 3 female coaches because this is something that Samson talks about a lot, that's having female representation in coaches is so important. So your personal experience running cross country with 3 coaches, like what did that mean for you?
Honestly, it was like the best experience of my life, really. Like when it came to athletics, like I just went over how impactful cross country was to me as an individual, but like especially having female coaches, it was really nice to have like just more of an understanding with things like, you know, eating and like your menstrual cycle. Like I feel like sometimes those are topics that kind of get brushed over. I'm not saying that this is the status quo. I'm not saying that all male coaches like completely disregard that
Right.
part of female athletics, but I feel like I mean, obviously, like a woman would probably have like a better understanding of like what that kind of entails, and like also just like being able to have like the female like kind of like girl power, just like I don't. There isn't really a better way for me to word this, but
Yeah.
like vibes. Like I would just say it was just so nice, like being able to like on Fridays we would do yoga, and it was just so nice to have like it just felt like going into a yoga studio, like but it was with your friends and your coaches. Like,
Sure.
I don't know. It was just like a very lovely experience, and I would highly encourage having female coaches for female athletes because I do think there's a little bit of a deeper connection that you get there.
Yeah, 1000%. I couldn't agree more. I think about my friends who still love their sports and love their coaches with male coaches, and obviously there are excellent male coaches, but there's something to be said for being surrounded in a female environment and one exactly what you're talking about, having them be able to level with you on the level of you have your period or something you're just not, you need to find a better solution to eating before meets or games, or you're just not feeling right mentally. I think it was just so impactful having female coaches. And yeah, I wish more girl athletes were able to experience that. So I'm hoping that's able to change within our generation. But Roohee, a question I have for you is something that you didn't mention. Obviously, you mentioned how much of a hard worker you are, but something about Roohee is that she is now the president of DECA, which is a business organization at her high school, and she's just doing such an amazing job with that. So, wanted to give her snaps for that. But it's also just so important having women representation in these leadership roles, especially because DECA is a business organization where business can be so primarily dominated by men. So, Roohee, I just wanted to ask how your experience with that has been and how, if you felt just like being a leader and being a female representing a hard worker and crushing it.
I would definitely say thank you for bringing attention to that fact. I would definitely say that, first of all, I think there's a huge correlation, and I didn't even think about it before Samson brought up the C-suite fact, but I think there's a huge correlation in my leadership abilities and my like leadership positions now because I really wasn't that involved in team sports where I could speak up and voice my opinions until high school. And that's really the only period of time where I've thought of myself as a leader and I've been able to take on those opportunities. And I think it's absolutely fantastic, first of all, for girls to be involved in sport because in a world that consciously and subconsciously reminds girls of the facts that they shouldn't be so outspoken or they shouldn't be encouraged to have opinions in settings where, there might be someone who feels that they shouldn't have that much, I'll say, authority. I think being in a sport has absolutely like changed my mind on that and like increase my ability to speak up when I need to speak up. Like I work very closely with my advisor, but that doesn't mean that I don't like in a respectful way, don't sometimes like can speak up and disagree and be like, I really don't think this is right. And it's not whether I'm right or wrong. It's the fact that I feel comfortable. Sorry, my dog is barking. I don't know if you can hear that.
No,
I love
me.
it. I feel comfortable to say that. And that's really what's important. It's not about whether girls are good enough or not good enough to do this. It's that they have the potential and they have the ability and they should always be given the opportunity to do so. And I would definitely say that, I'm trying to remember the original question. I would definitely say that being in a sport has helped me be a better leader.
Yeah, that is just so amazing. And it can't even, you can't get to your point with being strong and confident in your organization without talking about sports because it really is such a way to build confidence and feel proud of your voice and able to speak your mind. So I'm just there's not enough good things to say about being involved in a sport, regardless of how competitive you are.
Yeah, I think that's right. So I was just curious about the statistics. So I'm going to circle back to that C-suite statistic because it's a staggering number. So 94% of women who hold C-suite positions were former athletes, but executive positions are held only by 29% of women. So it's 71% men, 29% women. So when you think about that 29% and 94% of that 29% were former athletes. I mean, that's like, you have to think about that. So there is something to be said there. So the point is that the attrition rate for girls in sport continues to be staggering, to be honest with you, for a variety of reasons. Girls they feel, social pressure to not perform well. I mean, we've had that story happen time and time again, that they feel like they need to act, quote unquote, a certain way and be more girl-like as opposed to athletic. Access to things like sports bras and tampons, things that help make sport easier. Some girls don't like the revealing uniforms that are worn, and they want to wear things that feel more appropriate to them. Sometimes it's a safety issue. So sometimes people have to get home and transport themselves, and it's not safe. Unfortunately, a lot of it too, and I agree with you. There are so many incredible male coaches out there, and if we didn't have male coaches, quite frankly, with as few female coaches there are, particularly in the high school, we wouldn't have female athletics. But a lot of girls drop out of sport because of the things that you're talking about, that they can't have open and candid conversations with male coaches, and that would include things like feeling uncomfortable because of something a male coach did or said. And unfortunately, those are still things that we are seeing. Sometimes it's because of things like you're talking about, like getting their period and they don't feel comfortable talking to the coach. And maybe they've got an attendance policy, and maybe there's a couple days a month that, a student athlete misses, because they're just not feeling up to it. So there are obstacles and barriers still for girls in sport. So I'm curious from all of you, because we are doing this incredible work at PEAC, what are some of the things that you think athletic directors, I guess, in specific, and maybe even coaches can be doing better to encourage girls to stay in sport? That's an open question, so anyone can answer it.
I think one of the most important things that athletic directors should be doing is encouraging. I think, frankly, one of the most important things just in life, especially in sports, is having open and honest conversations and genuinely putting an effort in to include every single human possible, because the more opinions you get, the better informed you'll be. And I think the more informed you'll be, the more you'll understand that girls should be in sport, and it's much better for them. Just going through this 30-minute conversation, I've learned more and just it's improved my opinion so much on why girls should really be in sport. And I think that athletic directors need to face the opinion that that's what's good for the people that are under them. And I think that just exposing yourself to the honest truth is the best way to do it.
Yeah. I think one thing that athletic directors should be so keenly aware of is making sure there are safe spaces for all teams, but especially for girls' teams, it's a hard topic to talk about, but
yeah, and you can be, I was wondering that too. I was trying to figure out a way to have, you can have an open conversation. I mean, I think without giving specifics or details, but
yeah,
I think you could have an open conversation.
Yeah, there's just I've had friends at different schools. I've had friends at my school where they've had a male coach that has made them feel uncomfortable in an athletic setting or in a school setting. And same goes for teachers. I mean, you hope that no teacher or coach is making anyone uncomfortable, but it is so keenly important that an athletic director is screening and constantly on the lookout and making sure coaches are there for the right reasons and they are not
Mhm.
crossing any lines, crossing any boundaries, and making sure that all the athletes feel 100% safe, they feel respected, because one coach can completely change the life of an athlete, and it can be so sad to watch these extremely talented and passionate athletes, especially female, because it just happens so much more commonly, lose passion in their sport because they've had a terrible coach. So I really think that needs to be a top priority of athletic directors.
I
Yeah,
absolutely agree with what Caitlin just said. I feel like it's something that like we see in the news all the time, but we also hear from places that are close to home. Like
yeah.
just, having kids feel comfortable in the space that they're supposed to do the thing that makes them the most happy.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe this is a conversation for another time because I do want to get cooled down here in a minute. But in in specific, when we're talking about creating safe spaces where and it does unfortunately mostly happen to female athletes, so and that's the space we're in, so that's what we're going to talk about. But so creating safe spaces for girls in sport, and when a girl does feel uncomfortable because of something that was said, or maybe uncomfortable because of touch or solicitation that would include, messaging or any of those type of things. What are some things that you think can or should be happening?
I think that there should be a trusted adult, whether that's an assistant coach, a teacher. There needs to be people there that the athlete can go to and they know that they're going to be seen and not just brushed off. It's just so important to have those people, whether it's on staff or wherever they are, to have them so girls know who they can go to if they were to face the situation.
I love that. Honestly, like maybe even like a social worker or like a team therapist. Like I know that in a lot of professional sports teams, they have that. And it could be like an option for high school athletics to implement that resource as well.
That's interesting. Then let's just pause here for a second. So, because I think sometimes what happens in systems is, and this is a lot of what I hear, is that it maybe it's a male coach and maybe the assistant AD is a man and maybe the AD is a man, or so maybe what's happening is the athlete doesn't feel like they have a trusted coach. But I'm wondering if coaches, aside from their staff, introduced a social worker to the team at the beginning of a season to say, hey, listen, this is our team social worker. Obviously, it would require the coach doing some work with the staff and saying, hey, would you be a go-to person in case something happens and the athlete isn't comfortable talking to the coach or the athletic director? That to me seems like I've never thought of it, to be honest with you. Does that seem like a simple fix to anybody else, or is it just me?
No, it really does, for sure.
I definitely like the idea, but I think because at our high school, because we have so many, like, for me, I always felt like social workers were an available thing for me, and I always had that resource, and I haven't always utilized it, especially when I could. I honestly think that in athletic setting that you should be able, obviously, if you feel uncomfortable, that's a different story, but if possible, you should be able to feel comfortable with your coach talking about.
100%.
And I think that's where there kind of becomes the stigma, because I think if you put a certain stigma around a topic, that's like, you can reach out to your social worker if you have
That's a good point too.
It seems like you're like, at least that's the impression that I think I would get. It seems like we're putting this here before it happens, so this coach doesn't have to go through, like,
Yeah,
doesn't have
I
to
can
be.
see that.
And as much as I think that a social worker is absolutely helpful for people who aren't comfortable reaching out to the coach, I think that a coach should also always be a resource that
Completely
is there. And I think that's where people can feel like, oh, is it not okay for me to talk about this with my coach? Because as someone who has had a male coach, I have felt comfortable having those conversations. And that's completely my opinion. That's the way I feel, and that absolutely does not reflect everyone, but I think that it's always possible.
Sure. Yeah. I agree. Liz, would you have any circle back thoughts there before we cool down?
I don't think so. I mean, I guess it really just depends on the situation. Like, I definitely agree with Roohee that, like, coaches should be equipped with the skills to just, like, be able to have that, like, basic, like, communication with their athletes. But I also think there are, like, certain situations, like, maybe even just, like, extending beyond athletics, like, when the athlete is having, maybe problems at home or, like, like, problems, like, like, in school or, things like that. But, yeah, I think maybe having both resources open, like your coach
that's a great
and
point.
social worker.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. It's not to brush off the responsibility from the coach to the social worker, but maybe having, hey, this is, we're an open, safe place, and here's another additional resource. Yeah, I think you're right. That's a great call. All right. I can't tell you how much it means to have you all here. This was a great conversation. Honestly, I could have continued for the next 30 minutes, but we have got to get cooled down here. So, Roohee, let's go ahead and start with you. What is your favorite way to calm your mind and body?
I would say that my favorite way to calm, I would say listening to music can be really great. Taking a shower can be really great. Taking a shower and, like, washing my hair for the distinction. Like, I think that's, like, the feeling of having my hair wet in the shower can feel really good sometimes. I think eating good food, that kind of stuff.
I love that.
Maybe, like, painting my toenails.
There's a lot of things. I love that. These are all good things. I love it. I love the idea of a shower because I'm with you. Like, a good shower just somehow, like, just sets me up, like in a totally positive way. That's so awesome. I thought I was alone there, but I'm glad it's not. Maybe it's just the water piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it
Because
feels
it's a
good.
bath too.
Yeah, feels so good. I love it. All right, Liz, talent were not an issue. What sport would you love to excel in?
Ooh, this is a tough one. I feel like this is hard. I would say maybe like snowboarding. Like, I always really admired like watching like on the Olympics, like, like the Winter Olympics, you would see them doing all like the tricks in the air. Like, I wish I could do that.
That's
Completely.
Such a good answer.
It's such a good answer, and I'm with you. It would be so fun to do. Yeah, I love snowboarding, but the tricks are like above and beyond. I wish I would have started like in my 30s. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think it's so fun, and it's so fun to watch, right? Those guys are crazy.
Absolutely.
They do amazing stuff. Well, thank you again for being here. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We are so excited that you're here. If you haven't heard also, the reason we have so many interns is we are launching an app, PEAC, Train Like a Girl. We are so excited. It should actually launch in the next 2 to 3 weeks. It's going to have everything you need from strength training to mobility. There's yoga. There's going to be nutrition, our favorite recipes. We're going to connect to Strava. We're going to have Spotify playlists there. There's going to be so much information and so much content that you can use in your home. You can take it with you to school. You can take it with you to the gym. We are so excited. This is an app designed for girls. So it's an app designed for you. So any girl in sport, whether you're 12 or 72, this is an app we think is going to make you feel strong and confident. And circling back to what we were talking about with Caitlin and Roohee and Liz at the beginning is how much confidence that athletics can give you at any age. And we want to make sure we are keeping girls of every age in sport. So make sure you stay on top of what we're doing with the app. Get on our email list. We want to make sure we are getting all the information to you. If you haven't followed us on Spotify, make sure you follow us. It helps more than you can imagine. Make sure you're giving us a 5-star rating, and make sure you share the podcast with a female athlete or coach you love.